Hello, welcome to Tech Talk live. I am live. I'm fading out. This was kind of that thing that I was working on last 2 weeks ago, I guess, because we had that great Tech Talk takeover, or I guess behind the synth last week with Luke Smith and Nick Semrad, which was pretty awesome. I'm trying to fade out and talk at the same time. I'm fade out. So anyway, today what are we talking about? We're talking about, let me make my big face right here. Hopefully I'm not too, I tried to mess with the lights in here so I didn't look like I was a ghost. I did earlier, and it kind of looks that way on this my monitor screen here. I'm getting a new camera though, so hopefully that will make me look younger and fresher and not as, actually that's not too bad. I'm seeing my my monitor here. Anyway, what are we talking about? We're talking about MONTAGE Connect. What is MONTAGE and MODX Connect? Let's not forget about MODX Connect as well. So MONTAGE Connect is a VST and audio unit. It is free. It is a download that you can get from our website. And what it does is it gives you a little tighter integration between a DAW and the Montage or the MODX. It allows you to save and recall performances that you're using in a DAW within that DAW and recall them, save them. You can save your libraries. It's a very nice utility that just really enhances the connection of the Montage or MODX to the computer. I love using it, and I'll show you how, kind of a little bit about my workflow. Why would you use something like this? I want to show you why I love using MONTAGE Connect, and I'll show you exactly what's going on here in just a moment. In fact, let me go to this. This is not it. Let's go here. Whoa, look at that. It's Cubase. So what I did here to make this very easy to see is I created some MIDI and audio tracks. I like to set up things like this. This is kind of like a template that I use. I always kind of have these things set up here, ready to go for what I'm doing here today. And what I'm going to do is that little let me turn on my Montage screen here. I can do that over in the corner. This little pattern in here that I use. The thing that's cool about when we first released MONTAGE Connect, it was really just a performance recall and you can save your performances there. You can recall them within a DAW. It's also a standalone app, so you can save your own libraries in the computer as within the Connect app. It's just a nice little utility to do that. However, what they did once we released OS version 3.0, where we added the performance pattern sequencer, and 3.5, where we made that even cooler, what they added to MONTAGE Connect was this ability to move patterns and songs from MONTAGE Connect into the DAW. This really is an amazing, very cool thing. And that's what I'm going to show you. I basically made this little this pattern here, Karnic Musings. Why is it called Karnic? It's Mick Karn. If you ever know who he was a bass player that played in the band Japan. Great bass player, amazing bass player, played fretless bass. So I have this kind of cool sound in here. This, when you listen to this back, sorry, let me get my stuff here. That's what I did with the bass there. He was a fretless bass player. Anyway, that's why it's called that. But this particular, you see it here on the screen in the corner there. I'm calling up different sections here. And I have basically 5 sections that I've created, 5 scenes rather, pattern scenes, that have different groups. So I have my intro area, my 2 here. And I'm just going to work with these ones right here, 1, 2, and 3. And so I started in here. I did my initial sketching inside the montage, but what I want to do is I want to move those over to the DAW. Now I could do that without MONTAGE Connect by saving a MIDI file and moving the MIDI file over, but it's not as elegant as what MONTAGE Connect does. So let me just show you how I like to use this. First of all, I'm going to open up MONTAGE Connect inside the DAW here. I'm going to add an instrument track right here. So I have Montage Connect, and all my instruments are that I have that are available to me. These are VST instruments, so Groove Agent. I've got some stuff from Isotope in here, but I want this Montage Connect under Other, this one right here. So I have that selected, and it's not really a virtual instrument. It functions like one. It works in the same way, and it works in that same framework under VST3, or if you're using something like Logic. By the way, this works exactly the same way in Logic. It's an audio unit, so it shows up. So it works that same way, but really it just negotiates the hardware and the software, and it connects it a little bit nicer. Under Setup, if you don't see it when you load this in here, you'll want to select what Montage or MODX you have. If you have MODX Connect, it will say MODX in there, and it will tell you should have the correct firmware, by the way. Make sure your stuff is updated to the latest firmware version, which is 3.51 for Montage and 2.52, I believe, for MODX. So it tells me that. I select it, and as soon as I do that, you'll see this little online thing show up. And what that says is that, okay, I'm awake. I see that we have a Montage connected here. Now, this auto sync here is really slick, and why I can turn this on and off. But the thing that's cool about auto sync is that once I do what I'm going to do here, which is I'm going to capture this performance. In fact, I'm going to do it right now by just going like this. Now, you see in the screen there, you see where it says in the montage in that corner there. I left that up there so you can see this when I hit this. When it captures it, you'll see that now transmitting MIDI bulk data. So I just made the call from the computer to bring this performance into Montage Connect, and there it is. So now I have my MIDI tracks are going to line up with what I have in here, with what I've created in here. Very cool. Super, super simple. I can then save that up here inside Media Bay, the media area of Steinberg, so I can keep my presets that I have. If I have like 50 presets and I want to bring over, I can bring them over and I can recall them in a different project. This is cool. You build up your library with your instrument using Montage Connect when you're using it with Cubase or with Logic or with Live or with anything that accepts, again, a VST3 or a audio unit. Really slick. Love that. So now I have my performance captured here. I'm just going to go over here and I'll show you a few other things. This is where you can save locally your performances and you can recall them and you can save them here, and it's showing my computer right here, right? So just so you know what that is over here. But the next thing I want to show you is what I really love about this. This shows all the songs that I have loaded in my montage, and that's not what I'm using right here. I'm using a pattern right now. So I'm going to go over here to Pattern, and I'm going to select, I have a lot of patterns loading here, but there's my pattern, Karnic Musings, right here. And just to let you know what this sounds like, right, we're going to do the first one here that I played earlier. It's just this first groove here, right? You hear that, right? Okay, so we have an idea what it sounds like. I'm going to bring that scene right here. That's what you heard was scene 1 right over there. And now I've already set this up, sort of like a cooking show. I already have some things sort of ready to go, so I don't have to sit there and we wait 20 minutes for this to be cooked. I have things already set up here. So track 1 in this particular pattern scene is a drums, bass, keys. I have a guitar and a synth lead that I use together, and you may have seen that. In fact, you can see it in the corner there when I select scene 3 real quick. See, I have my keyboard control set up for what I want to play. In the first scene, I was playing the electric piano, and I have keyboard control set for electric piano, right? It's cool that you can save this in scenes, because then when I go to scene 2, it switches over to my synth lead sound, which is a doubled lead. That's what that guitar lead and that synth lead, those are 2 sounds that I'm using together. Which is cool. I love the keyboard control thing. It makes it so much more flexible in a single performance to control different parts of the performance and save them in a scene. But moving right along. Warm Pad Percussion, you see him right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this scene right here, and I'm just going to drag it over into the timeline, and you see how it's kind of got that. I'm going to put it right on 1, 1, 1, and I'll put it right. See where I'm going right there? 1, 1, 1, come on. There it is. And I'll just drop it right here. So this first scene only had drums, and this is kind of a cool thing that you can see visually right here. My percussion track, right? My bass track, right? But look at this. I have, oh, wait a minute, is that a 16 measure, 32? So I have 32 measure bass track, a 32 measure percussion track, but a 16 measure groove that I just repeated. One thing I love about the pattern sequencer is that you can have tracks of different lengths. You just basically set the length, which is right in fact, I'll go into, it's hard to see it from, I'm looking at two different screens here, but you'll see that the length of the pattern, it's right in the center, and I'll make this a little bigger so you can see this. How's that? Right in this, where it says length 32. Well, when I set that to 16 before is what I had it, I recorded the drum groove here. And then when I wanted to do the bass line, because I wanted a little bit more variation in that bass line, I wanted a little longer, I set it to 32. Even though that it's that I moved it to 32, that drum groove at 16 measures will just repeat, but I'll still have a 32 measure long scene. It's cool. Nested kind of links of tracks. I love that about the pattern sequencer. Let me make this a little smaller now, back in its corner. So if I want to make this go out all the way, I'll just take this and maybe copy that over. Boom. So now I have 32 measures. So what does this sound like? It sounds exactly the same as what I have here. Because what did I do? Over here in the recall area, I recalled that performance. So the MIDI data, the performance are going to line up. It's going to sound exactly the same. In fact, I made sure that my tempos were the same. Down here, it's 116. That's what the tempo is inside of here. So when I hear this, this should just sound exactly the same. And I'll do something kind of cool here. I'm going to go to my remote control area right here in the bottom of the montage. And let's just see settings, Cubase, right? We have that there. I can control Cubase, right? Because I have remote control capability as well. See how cool this is? I love this about this product, is that you have this remote control for DAW. You have something that has a pattern sequencer on board that I can immediately do some sequencing on, and then I can use the remote control surface to mix and start the transport and so on. Very, very slick. Let me go back to my my main pattern screen here. So I just literally just moved that right over. So what do I want to do now? Well, maybe I want to go over here to import. Maybe I want to grab scene 2 and drop that in here as well. So we'll put scene 2 right at 33.1, right there, 32, 33.1, boom. So I was a little bit over, but I'll just move this over real quick. Let's make sure that I am moving by, it'll snap if I have it set with that grid right here, and it'll use whatever I have in my quantize to snap to the grid. And I'm at 33 beat 1, right? Maybe I want to just use the measure, or let's do bar, yeah. Boom, easier this way, boom, 33 beat 1. So move that one over. Now I want to maybe go to 3 right here. 3, and we'll put that right in here. Boom, just that fast. Here's another 16 measure. Oops, and I moved it to the wrong area here. But you see what I'm doing here? I'm building my tracks just like this by moving them over just that fast. It's really slick. Again, this was a 16 measure, so I can move this out. You see what's happening though. Now I can start doing my work over here on the computer. That is what I love about Montage Connect, is just this right here. This ability to move things that I've started, that I've sketched inside Montage first, move it directly over into a DAW environment, and I'm good to go. That is so slick. Now, when I'm doing this, I want to show kind of where I'm going to go here. I actually have these other guys here. These are bridges that I have in here, so I can move those wherever I want. I can also set up, maybe if I want to, inside of Cubase, a marker track of some type so I can see where things are. I'll just go marker. And I can set up points where I want, like this is where the bridge is. Go over to here. Boom. And then name that if I want to, and so on. So you do your work where you're going to finish things, produce things. Maybe I want to add a virtual instrument, and I want to control that using the DAW remote controls capability right here. I can do that with a single montage. Again, I am connected via USB as well. So I'm using the USB Yamaha Steinberg USB MIDI driver to negotiate all this. So where is that located? Let's just go over here and take a look under Studio Setup. This is where those things were set up. We kind of did this last week or 2 weeks ago with Logic and Live and Pro Tools, just basic setup. Well, I'll kind of just run it through, show you what I'm doing in here inside of Cubase. Here is where I would set. I added the Mackie control here, and I set it to port 2. I did this similarly, showed this in Logic. The audio system right here. You select this, and this is all the things that I have available to me. But I have Montage selected right here. I'm going to keep that. It was already there. And then finally, I want to show you one other thing. So I have my MIDI. I have my my remote control set up. I have my MIDI ports over here, Montage 1, 2, and 3, right? We have all that stuff in here. We kind of talked about that last time. But the other thing I want to show you is the audio connections. Now, I've set this up already to show you something that would be the next step, or maybe, you know, I really encourage people all the time to render tracks as much as possible and get stuff recorded and use the capabilities of this instrument to do all that. It's super simple. I've already set up, let me move my Montage Connect out of the way, USB 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, so I can record individual audio channels if I want. And I'm going to do that right now for you to show you how cool that is, because it is pretty cool. And I've already preset them up. So drums have their own stem. And I also have my stereo in. Let's talk real quick about what the difference between using USB 1, 2, the individual outputs, and then just the main left and right. The difference is that the main left and right carries all of the effects, including the system effects and the insertion effects. Basically, everything that goes out that stereo output is what gets recorded, including system effects. This is different than those individual outputs. The individual outputs bypass the system effects, and they retain the insertion effects, but this is good. This means that anything that requires an insertion effect, like maybe a compressor on a bass, a phaser on an electric piano, a rotary speaker on a drawbar organ sound, anything that you want those effects to be recorded because they're part of the sound, those get recorded even when you run it out, those USB 1 and 2, but you don't get the system effects, would be things like the reverb or delay sound or whatever. I liken it like this. Think of it as a recording studio. In a recording studio generally has a really cool boutique reverbs that they have wired into maybe a console, and then each of the console channels have sends, so they send everybody the same reverb, so they're all in the same room. That's cool. So that would be like the system effects in Montage. It's like the studio's effects. Now, each of the part effects, those insertion effects, 2 per part, those are like the musician coming in, the guitar player coming in with a pedal board with guitar effects and stuff, and they actually insert into a single channel. Not everybody gets the guitar player effects, but the guitar player definitely wants it. Those are like individual outputs. You plug in and you take your effects with you. Those send effects, they're sent, so there's your difference right there. So what I'm going to do here real quick is, you see how I've got it set up here. I'm going to go to my audio channel. Let me move this marker up here. I'm going to move Montage Connect down below everybody. So let's shut down my MIDI tracks and open up my audio tracks. Now with this one, I've already set, and you saw that in that earlier, let me just go back here to audio connections. You can actually name your buses here. So I've named these so I can easily see what I'm going to do here. Drums, bass, electric piano, lead, and so on. So inside this audio track that I've already set up, I'm going to select drums. I've already done that there. Bass is already selected, see? These are all individual inputs. This would be the stereo in if I just wanted it just to be stereo input, but these are already set up for me because I did this earlier. And I think at the beginning I had drums and I had the bass and I had my percussion track. So I don't think there was anything else in there unless I recorded some, which I didn't. So check this out. I am just going to select, make this a little bigger so you can see this happen. I have these guys set to record. My MIDI tracks are down here. Let me open them up a little bit. There, right here, right? 1, 2, 3, right? Good. Here we go. Hit record. let's just do it like this. Remote. And I think I just go boom. Okay, now what I didn't do that I just realized right when I go is that I didn't show you where inside Montage that I have to do this in Montage too. I thought I'd already done this. I didn't. How am I going to do this? I'm going to go into, let's make this a little bigger here. Right there. Boom. There we go. Edit. I selected a part here. This is what I have to do. USB 1 and 2. Go to part 2, right? That's my bass part. USB 3 and 4. And then I had that percussion part, which is over here. This would be, what did I have for percussion? USB, I think it was 1314, right? I'm going to verify it real quick. Audio connections, percussion, excuse me. Right there, USB 1314. I am correct. All right. Now I'm set up here. Now, a lot of times what I do is I'll save a performance that has all of these already done. So I already have my individual output set, and I just save it as it would be, this one's called what? Karnic Musings. I'd name it Karnic Musings DAW. So one of them is the original one. One of them is one that is the same thing, but I just have the outputs set exactly how I want them. Now let's go back here to the DAW here. Let me make this a little bit smaller again. And oops. There. Start over one more time. And see, there we go. Make this so you can see this a little bit better. Individual outputs right now being recorded. One cable. We have 30 of them in this instrument. On a MODX, you have, what, 10 stereo out and then 8 additional ones? That is just cool. Every time I see this, this is so cool to see that it's this fast to do that. And I've recorded the audio of these tracks here. Just like that. Here's my drum. It may be a little bit... Yeah, it's very quiet in here. No effects. There's my bass. But remember, there's no reverb on those, right? So cool. Now I can go in and I can open up this audio track, add reverb, add whatever I want inside here, and so on. There you go. This is what I love about this whole setup, is that Montage Connect allows you to get those performances, save those performances, recall those performances, move things over that you've done here, then go inside the DAW, set up the individual outputs, record audio. It is slick. It's really, really kind of an unprecedented setup. I don't really know many other things that do this in the same way that that Montage does. It's awesome. So there you go. Montage Connect, MODX Connect. Same exact, this works the same way in the MODX. Obviously, you're not going to have as many output choices that you have on Montage. There are those limitations, but it works the same way. It works exactly the same way. It's so cool. It is just really awesome. So let's move on. Hey, look, there's me again. I'm going to talk about some other things. How about some web resources real quick? For example, don't forget about Yamaha Synth, all things Yamaha synthesizers. This is where we have our synth bits. We have tons and tons of cool things that end users share in the synth bit stuff. We have tons of articles, obviously, on all of our products that we will repost all of our videos for Tech Talk up there. Interviews, there's an artist page, Yamaha Synth, all things Yamaha Synth. Go there, and of course, don't forget there's a great forum there where you can ask questions, have them answers. I'm going to answer a question at the end of our Tech Talk day that we got. You'll see in a moment. Idea Scale. Got an idea for Yamaha synthesizer? Go to Idea Scale. This is basically a cool forum, a user-based community where you can put an idea up. We absolutely go through this every week, and we share the findings with our staff at Yamaha Japan. It's really important to go up there, check out Idea Scale. It's just the link is in the description on this video. Idea Scale. Got an idea? Send it up there. Soundmondo is our free social sound sharing site for Montage, MODX, YC, CP, and Reface. You can upload sounds, download sounds for free. Go to Soundmondo, check it out. It is free. There's an iOS app as well. Soundmondo is specifically, it works with Google Chrome because it utilizes an API called WebMIDI that allows you just to connect your instrument directly to the computer, and it sees it. You don't need a driver. It just works. It's very cool. That is Soundmondo. SoundCloud. SoundCloud is our Yamaha Synth SoundCloud. We have tons of audio demos. Our Behind the Synth podcast that we do basically every other week, I think. We try and do a podcast, but we have, I think, 54 of them up there currently of all the podcasts. There's also cool audio demos. That's our SoundCloud, Yamaha Synth SoundCloud account. Finally, the music production guide, a new one just dropped this week, by the way, for the music production guide. Link is in the description for that. Hans-Peter Hinkle puts that together. It is so good. There are, I think, 10 years total of music production guides, so you can go back if you're a motif user and you want to check out some cool stuff. You can find those in those earlier music production guides. Link is in the description. Definitely signed up for that free guide. It is cool. It is very cool. Hey, check it out. Here's some questions. If you want to ask a question that I can attempt to answer, I will answer it here on Tech Talk Live. And so what I'm going to do real quick, let me just open up my my iPad real quick here. And I'm going to answer one of the questions right now. Let me open up also my next overhead look here. So the question here, this is a good question. Really, just to, I'll put it, just synopsis. This is a guy named Marty here. He's from the United States. I believe that's who asked this question. And it was just this question that a lot of people ask, can you use the these sliders over here as in a similar way as you would on a drawbar organ where you can bring down drawbars? And he was told that, you know, there's no way this can do that. No, there is definitely. In fact, there's actually a performance that you can see this with called All 9 Bars. Now, why is it called All 9 Bars? This is interesting. I'll go through this sound real quick. First of all, there are, and I want to hip you to somewhat how Montage and MODX work because of this single mode. There's different ways that this instrument can address itself. And you can see right now, I have this part control, and I'll show you why that's blinking right here in a moment. But this All 9 Bars, so what is this? Let's just take a look real fast at these parts in here. So there are 8 elements, and each of the elements, and you'll see them as I select an element here, you can see the name of this element. It's called drawbar 16 foot, right? Draw 5 1/3. Do you see what's happening here? Drawbar 8 foot. Wait a minute. Is this a 4 foot drawbar? Is this? So that's what you have in this sound here. You have each of these elements, right, are 8 of those drawbars. Why it's called All 9 Bars is because since we only have 8 faders and there's 9 drawbars, like on a YC, like on a drawbar organ, so the 9th drawbar is going to be in the first element of the second one. It's right here. It's the whistler. And you can see that I'm using it as a drawbar organ right this, okay? Now check this out. How is this working? Well, I'll show you how it's working. If you go over to the motion control tab right here, and I think if you just hit Shift Performance, it'll take you here as well. It's really important to understand what these control functions are at the top here. Performance control, and you see how that changed there? Performance control is basically gives me control over motion sequences. I can select them, ARPs, and things like that. Things that affect the entire performance you can control right here. Part control allows me to select individual parts. So I can just touch these buttons, and I'm selecting part 1, part 2, part 3, and so on. Now this last one over here, and you can do this with Shift and touch part control, or I can touch it in here, and I'll just hit Shift, part control. You see where it says now element operator control. Well, now what I'm doing is those faders are no longer controlling individual parts. If I had it on part control, that's what those faders do, and there's a little LED right here that shows you parts 1 through 8 are what's being controlled by those faders. It tells you that, right? If I go to Shift, now watch over here when I touch this, see where this button goes. See where it says element operator? Watch. Boom. element operator control. Now you can save the performance in this mode right here. So it always shows up, and that's how this all 9 bars is set up. So if I have this part selected here, you'll notice it's under element operator control. Now, they're not going to work exactly the same way as drawbars. These are faders, so it's going to go the opposite direction. But there you go, Marty. That's how it works. So if you want to do something like this. Now, when you go to the second part here, there's the 9th drawbar. This adds percussion, so it's working a little different because it's not like if you want the actual real experience of a drawbar organ, we have the YC. Get a YC61. That's the great top keyboard for a montage, just to let you know. But we can simulate it inside of a montage in a MODX. And then this last one is just leakage that you can bring in and out. Maybe a little bit's cool. Percussion, 9th drawbar, which would go away normally, but anyway. And then we'll go back here to this. So there you go. That's how it works. That is it right there. Hopefully that answered your question. That'll give you some ideas on how this works. Check out that sound there. And that's it. That was the question I wanted to answer today here on Tech Talk Live. Once again, this is me. Thank you so much for watching this this wonderful Tech Talk Live. I believe the next one we have another Behind the Synth. Is it next week? I think it is. Another Behind the Synth. I think it's with Nari Soul. Definitely check that out with Nick Simrad. That is happening. Yes, I believe it's next week. If I'm wrong, then no, I don't think I am. But thank you once again for watching this edition of Tech Talk Live. Hey, I'll play you out with something. Let me go back to my B section. I never even showed you the B section, but I'll play it out with the B section like this. Like this.